Buying a game should be a simple process, right? You just choose the game you want, which platform you want it on, choose if you want the standard version or one of the many deluxe versions, and then hand over your cash. Well, details of the pre-order bonuses and deluxe editions of the upcoming Resident Evil 7 were announced earlier this week, and well, it just makes the whole thing a little bit more confusing.
UK retailer Game is offering a Steelbook edition of Resident Evil 7, which features an exclusive steel case and a survival pack offering in-game items to aid the player. Pretty standard for a deluxe edition, right? Well, Game offer a bonerific. How many bonerifics are in this?
This is the thing, see? All of the collector's editions are bonerific collector's editions.
Like, in what way do you mean bonerific? As in, it's got a boner?
It is intended to give a boner,
Bonerific,
yeah.
Right, okay.
Worthy of a boner is what...
Let me just make a note in my vocabulary. Game also offer a bonerific collector's edition of the game for £99.99, which has an art book, USB drive, postcards, and this lovely replica of the game's mansion setting. If you hadn't noticed though, there is one thing that it's missing. A copy of the game.
If you do choose to pick up the collector's edition of Resident Evil 7, you get a bunch of useless tat which you didn't need or probably want, if you're being honest with yourself. We've seen this before, and we've covered pre-order bullshit like this on the channel before, but this one really does stink to high heaven. If you really want the collector's edition and the game, it'll cost you a total of £144.99 because you have to buy the game and the collector's edition separately. This bullshit has gone too far. It's not a collector's edition of a game if there's no f***ing game. It's not an edition at all. It's just tat. It's merchandise. That's all it is. Calling it a collector's edition is obnoxious, and it's insulting us as consumers.
I feel like you said that very angrily. Like you were fucking... It's like...
Yeah, it is annoying though. It's the wording. Collector's edition. It needs to feature the game to be an edition of the game.
Like a Mickey Mouse toy from Disney shop. It's a collector's edition of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No, it's just a fucking toy.
Yeah.
Every year, pre-order bonuses get bigger and frankly more annoying. And with more and more content gated behind paywalls and held back as pre-order bonuses, it's easy to see why consumers feel like content is being cut from games. Square Enix have recently put both a side quest and an extra weapon for the latest Deus Ex behind a pre-order paywall. But shortly after the initial release hype died down, the company went ahead and made the content free anyway. It's not all about the deluxe editions either. Capcom have announced a season pass at the price of £25. So again, it's just another case of basically give me your cash now and I'll tell you what you're buying later on. What industry is that done? Okay,
you get a DLC downline, you don't know what it is, you don't know when it's coming, you don't know how much of it there will be, and importantly, you don't even know if you're going to like the game yet. While this is annoying, and most of us would agree these industry practices seriously need to go away, the sad fact is that people will still buy into it and the cycle will just continue. The people that still shop in stores like Game don't follow the industry as closely as you, me, or anyone else who bothers watching this crap on YouTube. The prevalence of pre-orders also has something to do with on-demand culture. People put down pre-orders because they want instant gratification. There's something pleasing about knowing that the game is already yours in a way, though you can't play it yet. It's a psychological hook that the industry has sunk deep into the minds of its consumer base. There is absolutely nothing beneficial about pre-ordering outside of rare exceptions like a Nintendo console, where a supply shortage on launch day is a very real possibility. Pre-ordering leaves you wide open to getting shafted. Laying your money down or even just committing to the idea of buying a game before reviews are up will inevitably lead to disappointment sometimes, and it'll empower publishers to kick out games in any old state, with a bunch of obnoxious extras like season passes and deluxe edition tat because hundreds and thousands of sales are already in the bag anyway.
We hate to sound like we're repeating ourselves, but sometimes you just have to stop bending over and you will stop being shafted.
It does bear repeating. It does really bear repeating. Giving
your money before you get a product is bullshit.
Yeah.
Stop bending over. Stop handing them the lube.
How much further can we take that? Stop handing them the lube. Wow. Pre-ordering shit like the Resident Evil 7 Collector's Edition is just good for no one except the publisher and their sales forecasts. And why should you give a shit about that?
In other news this week, Halo boss Frank O'Connor told community members on NeoGAF that the Xbox One Scorpio is, in his own words, beefier than expected. A new Halo game is currently in the planning stages and is expected to make full use of the Scorpio's hardware. Project Scorpio is set to be the most powerful console ever made according to Microsoft, with 6 teraflops of power, which is a lot more than the PS4 Pro's 4.2 teraflops. The consensus is that PS4 is very much an upscaled 4K machine, while Scorpio will be able to offer native 4K on at least some of its games. No more details are known about the Scorpio, but it is expected to launch with a premium price tag to accompany the level of powerful hardware.
Also this week, Square Enix released the sales figures for Final Fantasy 15, and it is doing pretty well, but that is of course bad news as far as Square Enix sees it. The action RPG has shipped over 6 million copies since launch back in November 2016, with 5 million of these units being sold on day one. The game also set records for the highest digital day one sales in Japan, and it became the best-selling title in the whole of Asia during launch week. But Square Enix's ludicrous sales ambitions are well documented by now, and it should be no surprise that the game's director Hajime Tabata has said Final Fantasy 15 will need to ship around 10 million units to be considered a success. That is just outrageous, because seeing 6 million sales as less than a success, it's just, what does that say about the state of the games industry now?
What's also outrageous is selling 5 million copies on day one, which means a shared load of people pre-ordered this shit.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean? They didn't they didn't ship 5 million days in 5 million copies in one day. They shipped loads of pre-orders is what they did. So just stop pre-ordering! But I feel I'm preaching to the converted here, because the guys who watch this video, they know.
Yeah, you're a smart bunch.
Yeah, they're a smart bunch of guys. But then, like, if our video goes to the recommended or to the trending page or whatever, a shed load of just idiots come in, don't they?
Elsewhere in the news this week, it emerged that Rocket League was the best-selling game on the PlayStation Store in 2016, according to the European and US charts. The indie smash hit beat big AAA titles like Battlefield 1, Destiny and The Division to take the top sellers spot of 2016.
The game reached 6.2 million sales across all platforms in July 2016 and made more than $110 million in revenue, with 40% of sales being on the PS4. The game was a massive hit for developer Psyonix, who were pretty much unknown before Rocket League.
And finally this week, a bit of good news on the pre-order bullshit front. It's been confirmed there will be no season pass for the upcoming Mass Effect Andromeda, which is excellent news if you ask us. BioWare General Manager Aaron Flynn was asked on Twitter if there will be an Andromeda season pass, to which he simply replied, nope.
This may not come as a surprise, because while there were several DLC items and expansions available in the previous Mass Effect entries, not one of the 3 original Mass Effect games had a season pass. Nevertheless, it is great news that Andromeda, which is due out on March the 21st, will be foregoing a season pass as well, and it's worth shouting about. Why? Because season passes are bollocks.
This is the Saturday show, so let's take a look at the comments you've been leaving on all of our videos this week. Diego Macedo commented on our video, "Quit spoiling our games. Are you telling me that you wouldn't watch a movie twice? Why do they keep remastering it if nobody's buying it due to the fact that it's ruined because they played it before? The only way spoilers ruin a game if it's the game was shit to begin with." Well, that is an interesting point, of course. Like, I replay stuff all the time, I rewatch stuff all the time, but the point is, the first time I experienced the story and the plot revelation, it was given to me exactly as the director and the creator and the people who made the game or the movie, the way it was intended. I didn't read it by accident, you know, when I was having a shit on the toilet, like scrolling through Twitter or something. I was in the moment, in the experience, and then that's how I got the information. So I remember that emotion, and I remember that experience of seeing it or playing it for the first time. So that's where I come from on the issue.
And the takeaway from this is Mike reads Twitter on the shitter. Next up, Recreate GTA comments on, "Why did you stop buying games? You ask why? Constant glitches, overpriced games, unfinished games, overpriced DLCs, misleading. No Man's Sky is a prime example of misleading. No Man's Sky is the prime example of everything wrong with the gaming industry. It's such a home run for us as critics of the...
Which is why it gets mentioned
every single video.
In every video that we do. Dayman commented on, "Why do you stop buying games? Why did I stop buying games? Well, the answer is simple. It's because I own The Witcher 3, every game in comparison has been shit. That's a fair assessment. I also think that most games compared to Witcher 3 are shit, but you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Not every game can be The Witcher 3. Murky Beam comments on the You Don't Own Your Games video. This is why always online games 2 is a bad idea. When services vanish, so do your games. Yeah, that is really true. I mean, EA are quite famous for just like ending multiplayer support for a huge amount of their games. They just wipe the servers for a lot of their older games, and they do it quite quickly. Some titles it's like, maybe a year or two after the game's come out. If no one's playing it, bang, it's gone.
I thought it just occurred to me, Call of Duty discontinued multiplayer server support for PC. So you can't host your own servers for multiplayer Call of Duty anymore. And that was like a good 10 years ago. Wonder why they did that? Because they tried to sell you a new fucking game every year. It just occurred to me now, it makes me even more angrier. Call of Duty.
It's like the third angry outburst we've had so far.
And before we leave today, I just want to say a huge thank you. I did a competition on Twitter where I took a screen grab, a suggestive screen grab from last week's pretty good Saturday show. And thanks to Paul Fawcett for this awesome picture of me brandishing a lightsaber. Fantastic, well done dude, you win the competition, and this is your shout out, so congratulations. Check out our Twitter for any more of these types of competitions in future, at Pretty Bad Tweets, I'm sure it is. So follow us on Twitter if you're interested in a bit of fun.
So there we are guys, that was the gaming news for this week and what we had to say about them. What do you think about all this news? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Check out some more of our content right here. We'll see you next time.